All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 5 of the Sasscast. Correct, Kumail? Episode 5? You better be keeping up.
It is indeed episode 5 of the Simply Sass cast.
Goddamn right. So today we actually have a pretty cool episode. So, of course, as always, I'm the host, Gage. Over there we got Kumail. But then
Kumail!
that was not time for an intro, okay?
Okay.
Shh. The most important part is the fact that we have someone new today. Down below, we have Carl. What's up, Carl?
Ooh. Yeah, how's it going? Alright?
It's nice to finally have you on the podcast. It's been a long time coming.
Oh, it's been a long time, sorry.
It's nice to just have one other person apart from us too.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like the unpopular kids at school. Just can we have one more friend
We
perhaps?
just want one more person, please. So we got a pretty awesome episode today. We're going to be talking about retro games. Now, retro is kind of a weird term because you could kind of count anything as retro as long as it's, from your childhood or whatever. But basically, we're going to count, I'm assuming, like PS1 and Nintendo 64 era backwards, all the way back to the oldest game, which was Pong. Right? No, it was not Pong. Oh my god, what was it called? It was like table tennis or
Serenity,
something
don't
like
answer
that.
that question. It's a trap. Don't answer it.
It's not a trap. I'm genuinely curious because they were playing it on like rotoscope machines, but I can't remember what it was called. Regardless, it's going to be interesting because me and Kumail are not old. So
Well, you're a lot younger than me, that's for sure.
true. Too bad we don't have Phil on here. He's the resident grandpa.
Yeah, he is.
So it's going to be pretty awesome. Now, Carl, since you're new to the podcast, I would love it if you actually started us off. Let's start off with just like a single prominent game. What's one of the most prominent retro games in your library of knowledge?
Well, being a Sega kid, it was Alex Kidd in Miracle World. That came out originally in 1986. I didn't play it way back then. But it came out on the Sega Master System 2, which was a big system around here in 1990, I believe. So that was one of the things the Sega Master System did. It came with sort of built-in games, which was sort of a newer concept. So it was Alex Kidd in Miracle World is essentially sort of a platformer. Um, it's got some driving elements in it as well, some puzzles, yeah, all sorts of bits and pieces. But it made a huge impact sort of in this part of the world just because Sega was huge. Nintendo was around, but sort of most kids they had Sega Master Systems, or a few of them sort of had Ataris, but like Sega Master System was it for a couple. So yeah, I'm just trying to think. Maybe for about 3 or 4 years. That's from reading, of course. Then of course the Mega Drive came out after that, and so on and so forth. But yeah, as said, this part of the world's always been pretty big for Sega.
Hi, I'm Kumail. I have a question. So,
Yes,
I have never heard of Alex Kidd.
yes,
So what is it comparable to?
Mario,
Mario.
essentially.
Okay.
Um, yeah, because I'm just trying to think. Because I think Mario came out in 1985.
That
I
sounds
think yeah.
right.
Again, that's going from my reading. But yeah, so it's essentially it's a game to sort of get people hooked on the system, and as I said, it came built into the Sega Master System 2, so everyone who bought the system had the game. And yeah, so as said, it's sort of a platformer. You go and sort of collect money, then you can buy bits and pieces from the shops like upgrades, buy vehicles. I mean, there is a couple of levels like you have a motorcycle and you sort of
Oh,
shoot
that's
across the
pretty cool.
stage on, which is really cool. There's something I think it's called a pedicopter or something, but essentially it's sort of like a hovering helicopters, so you sort of fly across the level. And you have to be careful not to hit the blades on these unbreakable rocks, because if you do, you splash into the water. But if you do that, you continue on in the level. You just sort of swim along instead of flying along. So there's a couple of different dimensions. So for its time, because as I said, it came out originally in 1986, it's pretty deep.
Yeah, it sounds technically impressive.
Oh, yeah. I'm just trying to sort of bring it back a little because I'm quite biased about that game because I absolutely love it. But yeah, and it was very colorful. There was like the music was sort of very very catchy, and there was this. I remember there was one thing that did bother people about it is you played Junkin Pole, or in English it's rock paper scissors against the bosses, and if you hadn't played the levels before, you didn't know what the bosses were going to do. It was the same sequence every time, but this is in the days before sort of FAQs and guides and that sort of thing. So when you're
Mm.
a kid and you're running through the game blind, you're like, oh, okay, I don't know if I'm supposed to do rock or paper or scissors, and you couldn't get past that bit unless you knew what they were going to do.
Hmm.
And I remember that was sort of a sense, sort of a source of frustration for people. But once you've done the level once, then you know what they were going to do because it never changed. And in later levels, after you picked up some money, you could actually buy an upgrade where you could see what the boss was going to pick as well, so you could adjust your choice accordingly too. So yeah, as I said, there was all sorts of cool little game elements like that.
Nice.
That actually does sound like a lot of fun. I think I have Alex Kidd on one of the like Sega Genesis collections I have. I don't know if it's on the PS3 version or the PS4 version.
Yeah,
I
so
think it's
that
on
one I
there.
think will be Uncharted Castle, which was the only one that came out on the Genesis.
Hmm.
There was six Alex. I think there was six. Just trying to think. Yeah, so there was six Alex Kidd games because there was Miracle World, there was
Dang.
Shinobi World, there was Lost Stars, there was High Tech World, then there was Charted Castle, which came out on the Genesis or the Mega Drive, depending on your region, and there was also a Japan exclusive called BMX Trial,
Hmm.
which came with this little pedal controller. So it was this sort of this analog controller which you moved from left to right and stuff. But yeah, that
Interesting.
only came out in Japan, I believe, and that was on the Mark III, which was the original name for the Master System in Japan, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to see if I can track down a copy of the original one then, because that does sound like a lot of fun to play.
So apparently they actually are doing a remastered remix, whatever you like to call it, of Alex Kidd in Miracle World for
Interesting.
modern systems. So I think that's coming out early next year.
Do you
So
have
and
like
you'll
a
be able.
calendar that you keep crossing the days off, waiting for the next Alex Kidd game or whatnot?
No, no, I wouldn't do that, Kumail. No, so yeah, so from what I understand, it's coming out for sort of the modern systems and things. And from the footage I've seen of it, it looks really cool. So it's basically a shot for shot remake of it so far, but of course with enhanced graphics and that sort of thing. But you can switch to classic mode in it as well, so you can revisit the sort of style and graphics and that sort of thing. So yes, I
Nice.
will be purchasing that one when it comes out.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That'd be pretty cool to try out for the first time.
Just
Um,
one more thing. I've got one more
yeah.
question. Here you keep a copy of the game next to your bed. Can you confirm or deny this?
It's on a system, so probably not.
Fair enough.
But that being said, I do have. I'm just trying to think. One, two, three, four, five Master System systems.
Oh
It's
damn.
just because the systems are getting old now, so it's just I have cold spares just in case they do decide to sort of go the way of the ghost.
Hmm.
Um, but they are pretty resilient systems, I will say. I mean, what, they're 30 odd years old now, so and I've actually got a model from 1988, and it's still kicking. So just as long as you look after them, yeah, they just keep going. But as said, I don't want to not be able to play those older games because I think I've got about 180 Master System games,
Wow.
roughly. Yeah, so and they're getting expensive now too.
Yeah.
Yeah, just being the whole sort of retro gaming explosion at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, prices are sort of going up and up. But
Have you
for
seen Vita games, for example, at the moment? Like my friend
um,
had texted me. He's like, "Why is this like 3 times the price it would have been normally?" I'm like, "I have no idea, man."
It's because they're
And then I
well,
rare.
that
realized, yeah,
scarcity, I think,
yeah,
and
Vitas are going out of style now.
well, yeah, I mean, I tried to get another Vita, because I've got the original OLED, but because of yeah,
Oh, sorry, Carl. Gage has got this one habit he does during every podcast. He just takes out his Vita and starts playing on it. Oh dear. Bless him. I've
So
got so
yeah,
many games left for the Vita that I need to play.
oh,
there's still.
Thankfully, I've got 3 Vitas, so they
I
should
think there's
survive.
still only 199. You can import these guys from Japan.
well, that
Hmm.
was the whole thing. I
That's what I
should
had
have
to
got
do.
one last time I was in Japan. But yeah, because for whatever reason, I don't think I researched it properly because I wasn't sure if you could change regions on it and that
Yep.
sort of thing. But apparently, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Thank God.
fully region unlocked. The only thing is, since this is a Japanese Vita, or I guess technically all of the, I think all the Asian region Vitas, the circle
So,
button is yes, and then the X button is no. So
Because
yeah,
but when you get into the games, you're usually fine.
yeah, it's just on the system menu. It's a little confusing at times, unless you've played like Metal
oh
Gear Solid, because that's exactly how that game's always been.
yeah, because I fairly recently got the original Metal Gear Solid,
So good.
which I was really pleased to get that because that one's hiking up in price.
Yeah,
It really is.
I think I
Carl's
spent
gonna
like
have his own empire soon enough, isn't he? With all the retro games he's got.
probably.
Oh, well, I'm just trying to think just at a glance. I've only got about probably 20 PS1 games, 120 odd PS. It's hard to say because I've just got them. I'm just looking at them on the shelf. Um, but I know I've got about 180 Master System games because they're so expensive. But
What's the most expensive one you had to buy?
probably Golden Axe Warrior. Um, so I think that goes for about 100 US now complete.
Yikes.
Um, yeah, it's just scarcity. think to I think it was the second last Master System game that was released in the United States. Sonic the Hedgehog was the last. But for whatever reason, that game's just shot up. And there's a couple other games, Power Strike 2, which I don't have. They're going for 300 US easy, and it's
Wow.
just, well, I don't think I'm gonna have those ones in my collection. I was trying to think what other ones just off the top of my head. Oh yeah, Masters of Combat. That was one of the last, one of the later Master System games. That goes for hundreds of dollars too. It's just, bleh.
Jeez. I think the most expensive,
Viva la emulation.
right?
Viva.
I think the most expensive one
Yeah.
I have is Diablo for PS1. That one cost me. I bought
Ooh.
that 3 years ago, I think, and it was almost $90.
Oh,
Yeah, it was definitely pricey. It's definitely worth it. It's awesome having Diablo for the PlayStation. Like it's really cool to have, but yeah, it's. I saw that price tag and it just kind of slowly kept getting higher and higher, and I finally was just like, I have to buy it now or I'm never gonna have this. And now they're
well,
Fair enough.
now they're a bit more
that's it.
expensive.
You have to pick your moments because I will say one system I've found actually really cheap to collect for is the Sega Game Gear. So that was the portable Master System essentially. I think it came out about 1990, so it would have been a year or two after the Genesis slash Mega Drive. And it was notorious for burning through batteries. I think you had 6 AA's in it and it
Yeah.
lasts a handful of hours. But the games, especially if you get them just in their little plastic case, they're real cheap. So if you want to collect for a system, I found that to be really inexpensive. I think I got like a pile of 9 games for about $15 US type thing.
Wow.
And there's this cool little adapter you can plug in the back of it as well called a Master Gear, so you can play your Master System games on the Game Gear because essentially it's same hardware, same RAM. I think it's got a larger color palette, but that seems to be the only difference on it. And yeah, you can play all the Master System games on it. But that's a cool little system. I had that when I was a young pup too. So
Nice.
He's still off. He's still off.
bless you, Kumail. Thank you. But I actually bought a reconditioned Game Gear as well fairly recently because the caps are notorious for because I think they used a certain type of cap which was notorious for sort of breaking down. So I've got a recap one, and they redid the screen and everything, and that wasn't too expensive. And they threw in a game of Last Action Hero as well, I believe. So
Nice. Very
yeah,
nice.
so yeah, so that's a cool system to connect for.
We're gonna have to have a separate podcast on like just Carl's collecting tips.
Yeah, right?
He's probably got like
Oh.
100, haven't you?
Um,
Deep down in the trenches of your video game castle.
yeah, I won't say how many games I've got. It's
Probably a lot.
Dude, I envy you, man. I envy you.
you don't envy the amount of money I spend on them, though. I can tell you that much.
Maybe not that $100 game, but everything else I can respect.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's just keeping. Well, it's like Gage was saying as well for Diablo. It's just to, just pick your moments for some games because sometimes you can just pick up absolute bargains. I think I remember I got WWF Royal, I think Royal Rumble for the Genesis / Mega Drive, and it was like $10. And that was fairly recently as well. It was just, someone was selling it and they're like, they don't need it anymore. It's like, okay, cool, we'll take that, thank you. And that was complete. So I was quite pleased with that one. So you
Nice.
just, sometimes you can get quite fortunate with them as well. But a lot of the time it's like, oh, okay, I guess I'm eating 2-minute noodles all this week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, nothing wrong with 2-minute noodles.
Yeah, I'm glad
No, not dissing them at all. It's just, we won't be having the caviar and lobster this week.
I'm really glad some of the games I played growing up aren't like that popular anymore because it made them super easy to collect. Like, did you guys ever play any of the Army Men games?
No.
I was aware of them, never played them.
Look at the disappointment in his face.
Dude. So, they were on multiple platforms, but I played them on the PS1. So there's, oh man, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
This is my favorite part of the podcast.
I think I
when he
have
just turns
9
around
of them.
and looks at his game collection.
I think I have 9 of them, and there's technically 3 different franchises. You have the Army Men World War franchise, you have the Army Men Sarge's Heroes, and then you have Army Men Air Attack. They did a couple other spin-offs later on. But those games I loved growing up. And like playing them now, some of them are still pretty fun, some of them have not aged well at all. But the best thing about it was I was able to find each of them complete in great condition for $10 each. Just so
Fantastic.
I was able to just
They
kind of
make
pick
that
the whole
many
collection.
games just
That's cool.
because of you buying them.
So that's one of the funny things. Do you guys watch Gary Whitta's Animal Talking show?
No.
Yeah, have watched some of them, yeah.
Okay, so the most recent episode he had Corey Barlog on, and Corey Barlog used to work at 3DO back during the time when they were starting to do the Army Men games. And he was talking about how he recalled a meeting where he was sitting there and they literally said, we don't care about the quality of the game, we just care about the brand recognition, which is probably why they pumped out so many games over such a short period of time, because they weren't looking to make the big blockbuster games. They just knew people would go, oh, I played with the Army Men toys as a kid, and then they would just buy the game anyway. Yet, surprisingly, some of those games are actually really well made. Other ones, not so much. But some of them are pretty solid. I do like them a lot. Most people don't, and they're all wrong. Anyway,
Well, at the end
I
of the
didn't
day,
even know it was a game. I thought they were just
dude,
pieces,
dude,
like from Toy Story.
dude. You've been missing out, my friend. You have been missing out. There's nothing
Yes,
cooler than playing like Army Men Sarge's Heroes 2, and you start off a level and you realize, oh my god, I'm in a living room of a house, but I'm a toy, and you're running around this living room and there's like tanks and stuff trying to kill you and aircraft and stuff. Oh, it's so good. It's so fun.
well, there was a I can't remember the name of it now, but there was a game, like a toy box game, released in the last few years, and I know you can have the GI Joe
Yes.
characters, and I think Masters of the Universe.
Son of a bitch. That game.
Sorry.
I forgot what it's called. It's something like that, like Toy
He's cutting his
Soldiers.
own mind.
Toy
Just
Soldiers War
one-
Chest, I believe is what it's called. It's a Ubisoft
Yeah.
game, and there is DLC where you can play as G.I. Joes. There's DLC where you can play as the Brotherhood from Assassin's Creed. There's like He-Man, all these things. That game was pretty fun. I liked it a lot. The problem is the game doesn't work anymore because the game doesn't recognize dates past like 2018. So
Oh, no.
if you don't manually adjust your console's date to pre 2018, the game crashes on the main menu because of the internal clock of the system.
Oh my gosh.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's your first Gage rant of the podcast.
It's probably good I didn't get that game, because I would probably be in my perpetual backlog anyway.
What's that game that's coming out that's like a battle royale sort of army men and stuff?
The Mean Greens. I'm excited
Yeah.
for that. I'm so excited for that. That comes out. Crap, I forgot. Mean Greens. So that drops. That came out initially in 2015. Holy crap. But it comes to PlayStation. Oh, it's already out. It came out on the 5th.
Let's go check out the price. I'll be right back.
I think it's like $30. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. It might be 40.
We've got the sound clip, so I'm sorry you will be quoted on that.
Damn it.
But anyway, let's get back onto the topic at hand. £16 in the UK. I'll take it. But yeah, what's a prominent game from your retro gaming collection apart from Army Men, Gage?
Man, that's tough. I'm going to go back. So I could easily pick like a PS1 game or a Super Nintendo game, but it's going to be the obvious ones. So I'm going to go back further to the Atari 2600. And I'm going to pick Adventure.
Adventure.
So Adventure is a top-down action adventure game, I guess you could say, where you play as
trying so hard to avoid saying that, weren't you?
you play as a knight or a warrior, that's depicted as a square because it's the Atari 2600. Basically, it tasks you with going through, and you have to like find keys to open certain doorways and stuff like that. But in certain rooms, there's like if I remember correctly, they're dragons, and they can go through the walls and stuff. Like they're flying over the walls, but they just kind of go through it and they can kill you. And you have to avoid them, get the keys, unlock the door to get to the next room, and then there's more enemies, stuff like that. There's no real it's not really an action adventure game at all because there's really no action. You don't do any combat. It's just you trying to get to the key and then get to the door without dying. It's
kind of reminds me a little bit of Gauntlet.
a little bit,
Yeah.
just without the fun. Like, even when I was a kid, I was playing it because I'm like, this is okay. It's kind of cool because there's dragons and stuff, but there's no real gameplay. You're just avoiding the dragon, getting the key, getting the next room. But I do have fond memories of it, so that's why that'll be my first round pick, I guess. And just a little shout out to an old game.
At the end of the day, that's all that matters. As long as it's attached to nice memories and you had fun at the time, it doesn't matter if, inverted commas, it doesn't hold up now.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Days Gone's a great game. I don't care what Matt says. Okay, Kumail, what's a retro game that you
Days
want to
Gone
talk about?
considered retro at all?
No, it should be though. It should be considered classic, forever and
I
ever.
have it in my back. I have the physical copy of it, and I
Dude.
have to play it by the end of the year.
So I'm gonna tell you, once you finish Ghost of Tsushima, do Resident Evil 2 first. That game is. If you're a Resident Evil fan, that game is everything I've ever wanted from a Resident Evil game.
Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite games.
Dude,
of all time,
2
so-
like I love 4. I mean, I love all of them except for 6. Like 6 is the only one that I don't actually like that much. It's not terrible, it's just not great. But 1 through 5 and 7 I love. I played 2 Remake and was like, this is it. This is the epitome of Resident Evil, because it has the gameplay style of Resident Evil 4, but it's the full RE2 experience remade, and RE2 is my favorite of the original trilogy, so it just kind of mixes literally 2 of the best Resident Evil games to make the one of the best survival horror games I've played in years.
Awesome.
Maybe
Yeah, 'cause
second only to The Evil Within 2, because I love that game. That game is so good. So good. You know what? Screw Resident
Talking
Evil.
of horror
Play Evil
games,
Within 2.
Gage is not gonna like my pick. It's an anime pick.
All right.
Nah, I'm just
Thank you
joking.
for joining us today for episode 5 of the podcast.
So I guess the whole retro topic idea came from me saying 2 words: bloody raw. And this was like this fighting game that I thought I was the only one that had played in my lifetime, and I just randomly remembered it. And it turns out everyone's played it. So I just wanted to ask you guys, what were your memories of Bloody Raw?
So I haven't played Bloody Roar. I don't think. Well, I take that back. I may have played it once, but I do remember watching like a bunch of trailers for it, and I think I might have played a demo for it at Walmart like 15 years ago or something. Like this is like 2004, 2005. They were still doing demos of PS1 games. I remember the PS3 was almost out, and I played Crash Team Racing at Fred Meyer. I was like, what the hell is this? Why is this a 10-year-old game? Yeah, it was weird. But, yeah, I can't really speak too much to Bloody Roar, so I'll pass it on to Carl.
Carl, is this one that you're familiar with at all?
No, not at all, to be
Oh,
honest.
you're not? Oh, never
No,
mind.
sorry.
It was just this fighting game, and I think the sort of gimmick was that these people could turn into beasts. So you'd be like a normal sort of human and whatnot fighting, and then at any one moment you could just transform into a beast. And all I really remember about the game is once you transform into the beast, it's basically GG, game over, because it was very imbalanced, and the beast would be way too powerful. Like some people could turn into like insects, and other people into your standard raccoon or whatever. So yeah, it was a game I just remembered randomly, and it's not one that I've ever seen since the PS1 generation. Apparently there was a PS2 game, but I had never heard of it. But I think now it's just as good as dead. Yeah, that's just one from my childhood that I remember. Really.
It's a pretty
I mean,
good
I've
one.
got like a ton of games on this list. I don't really want to talk about all of them, but God, it's just like the PS1 alone had so many great games, and
Yeah.
so many
Oh,
games I'm
absolutely.
so fond of.
I absolutely agree with that.
Carl, have you got a game on PS1 that you want to talk about that's retro or more retro? Or have you got
Is
another
that-
Golden
Well,
Goose game?
I remember playing, I think it was at my cousin's place, Tenchu Stealth Assassins. We had so much fun playing that game. Like, just jumping around, because I usually don't play stealthy in games, to be bluntly honest. It's usually, oops, I've triggered an alarm. Oh, well, it's all guns blazing now. But, you know, that one really forced you to be stealthy. Or I mean, of course, Metal Gear Solid did as well, but that didn't end well for me. But
So you've chosen death.
pretty much. I mean, I remember failing the first sequence in Metal Gear Solid how many times because I'm like, you trigger the and you're just
What was that?
the exclamation point above his head and everything. I was like,
Dude,
Um,
so good.
but that game is so good though. I mean, it just keeps you trying and trying and trying and getting past various sections. But I remember Tenchu from the PS1 era was a lot of fun. Um, I remember Alien Trilogy as well.
Nice.
Only because I absolutely love aliens, and it was just again like Aliens versus Predator from PC in the PS3 days as well. That was so much fun too.
Yes, that one's really
Um,
good.
but yeah, that it was cool. Just basically being in an alien movie and going around with a pulse rifle and all that sort of stuff. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, I didn't play too much on PS1 back then. Because I was mainly playing on PC, I guess. But Resident Evil though, I mean the original. I mean that game, absolutely phenomenal.
Yes, that game is arguably one of the best games that came out of that generation.
Even with the tank controls.
Yeah, those tank controls are definitely difficult to still play, but it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun indeed.
Do you remember that one game that Tim Schafer said, no, you've got to play with tank controls, whether you like it or not? Even though it came out in like...
Fandango?
Probably, yeah, that was the
Grim
one.
Fandango.
Yeah, because there's a gold trophy on that. If I remember correctly, it's like if you
are
want to
correct, yeah.
platinum it, then you've got to tank it. But so I mean, because I played tank back in the day, it's just really hard to readjust. I'm like so I like kept on spinning around in circles and that sort of thing. But I think I eventually got used to it. But if anyone saw me play, I think they'd probably be finding it rather amusing.
When are you gonna stream, Carl? Yeah, that's a real question. Yeah.
I think if anyone wanted to see someone sort of die over and over and over and over again, then
you
yeah,
should,
by
you
all
should see
means
me in my
check
one
out my.
step from Eden stream. I was constantly dying, dude.
But to be honest, Kumail, I would just be laughing the whole time as well. It's just because I just find it really amusing. Just not doing personally not doing very well at a game and just sort of falling down a cliff or whatever. I just find it real funny. It's like
That's great.
games are supposed to be fun, and if people take it too seriously, oh no, I failed this bit over and over again and get aggro. I just don't see the point. That's supposed to be for fun. So, the stream would be half me falling down something or half dying, and the other half would be me just laughing about it. So, I don't know if anyone would want to watch it.
I'd definitely watch it. That'd be a blast.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, if it makes others laugh too, then it's just spreading the joy and everything.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Kumail, do you want to go for your number 2? Cool. Kumail's dead. Good to know.
Oh, was I muted the entire time?
Yep.
Oh Jesus. Never mind. I was making a great segment transition to you, Gage, and all of a sudden, Kumail's dead. Like, what? What happened there? So we've had like Crash 1, 2, and 3 ported over. We're getting Crash 4. We're getting Crash Team Racing. Sorry, not ported, remaked or remastered or whatever. And we've got Crash Team Racing, but there's one game that we haven't got so far, which I really, really loved. Crash Bash.
Ooh, yes. Oh my gosh.
Now we're talking. How have we not had this game? It's like one of the most funnest party games ever, and the mini games are really good as well.
That
Like
would
you
be
had the pogo
incredible.
one, you had the one on the ice where you have to flick. I think it was like a ball and not let it get past you.
Yeah.
There was one where there was like 4 of you, and there's like ice surrounding you, but the ice blocks are slowly getting melted, and so you could fall off the edge, and you try not to fall off the edge. Like that's one of those games that I'm surprised we haven't gotten any sort of like announcement for.
Here's a hot take. Because of that game, I think PlayStation made a better Mario Party than Mario Party. I think PlayStation also made a better brawler than Super Smash Bros. Yeah. Crash.
And he's at GF2Cool on Twitter. Direct your
Dude.
meme messages at him.
Crash Bash, with all of its issues, is so fun.
Yeah.
If they made a modern day version that kind of had some of the same ideas that you would get from a Mario Party, I think it would be 10 times better. And also, if they just gave us a damn PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale 2, that game was so good. It got
We'll have
it
to
got
do
so
like a
much hate,
topic
but
on
it's
who
so
would you
fun,
like to see in that.
dude.
Like
Yeah,
Cooper,
Just
I think,
imagine getting
obviously.
Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter. You could have Spider-Man in there now.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
let's not
Ooh.
talk about Spider-Man in
Ooh.
games, please.
Oh, I'm
Please,
going to
let's
talk
not
about
talk about it.
Spider-Man in Avengers as much as I want, because you know what? Freaking Nintendo fans got Solid Snake in Smash Bros. Solid Snake. Solid Snake. What, because of Twin Snakes? Even though Solid Snake is literally an exclusive to PS1. Metal Gear Solid
got-
only came out on
they got
PS1.
Fox-
Metal
they
Gear
got
Solid
Fox and
4.
Starlink.
Solid Snake
No,
should have been in PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale. Or Old Snake. But instead, we got Raiden. Also, I had to pay $40 to get a copy of Alan Wake so I could play it on my Xbox. Alan Wake is still technically owned by Remedy, but Xbox has exclusive rights to it. So Xbox gamers can suck it, because we get Spider-Man.
Again,
must-
GF2Cool on Twitter.
I must say, I was really psyched when I
It's a
got
character.
Quantum
It's
Break
just a character.
for the Xbox One because it came with Alan Wake as a download
Nice.
as well at the 360 backward compatibility, and I'm like, that was pretty awesome.
That's one of my favorite things about Xbox is the fact that I was looking at buying Alan Wake and it was like $20 on Xbox Live on the Xbox One, and I go and it's like, cool, purchase. It's like, are you sure? Yes. We're sorry, it's not available in your region.
Oh,
I'm in the United States. Microsoft is in the United States. It's listed on the store, and I couldn't buy it. So I had to order a $40 copy on Amazon. It's a great
Okay,
game, though.
what's
It's a
the-
great game. I
what's-
love the game. It's
what's-
so good.
what's-
But
what's the
but
simmer
now it's
down?
available. Now it's available. Now it works in the US, and they also made it free on Game Pass. So, woo!
Whilst
People
you simmer down,
understand. People don't understand
I'm
why I love
glad you get
PlayStation
to
so
play
much.
it.
Goddamn. Alan
let's
Wake
talk
is
about
great.
Spider-Man
I'm
for,
so excited.
for a second.
Dude, there's a whole
Because-
game that's exclusive to PlayStation, and people are getting pissed off over a character. Come on.
Wait.
Really?
Look, we're talking retro. We're talking retro. Let's leave that to one side.
Spider-Man
The first
3
Spider-Man
was a
on
PlayStation
PS1.
exclusive. They've been doing exclusive Spider-Man games for
It's
years.
still going.
And now people are
Someone
getting...
make him stop.
Oh, man. Halo Infinite, guys. Damn.
there was a couple of really good Spider-Man games on the Master System as well. There was Spider-Man, and I think it was the Sinister Six as well. They were a lot of fun.
So the Spider-Man on that system, was it similar to the PS1 one where you could swing around buildings and whatnot, pick up these comics, have different costumes, and there was like a story? Not that I remember much of it. Like there's one bank mission I can remember, but it was
Ooh,
just
I miss it
the
so
first
good.
Spider-Man where you could just swing around buildings, and I felt really epic as a kid being able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was a lot more rudimentary on that because it was just on earlier hardware, so you were able to sort of swing around the buildings. It was like a 2D platformer, and
Okay.
you took photos as well, being Peter Parker, and then you know do that. That game was a lot of fun though, and
Photo mode
you had
before
the
it was
theme
cool.
song. The what now? Who?
Photo mode before it was cool.
Yeah. Well, as said, I think it was, yeah, again, fairly rudimentary because of the time, but it didn't matter. It was just so much fun, and I've still got it in my collection now. Still got the sequel was coming up in price too, because again, it was getting towards the end of the Master System's life cycle, so those sorts of games, they didn't make as many copies because you had the Mega Drive out, the Genesis out. I think. Just trying to think, the Saturn would have been around the corner too, because this was sort of around 95. So Sega was technically supporting the Master System, Genesis, Mega Drive, Game Gear, and the Saturn all at the same time.
No wonder they stopped making consoles. Jesus.
I mean, 'cause what did they have? Oh, and that's right too, because the 32X would have been out too, which was the add-on for the Genesis.
32X. They had the freaking the disc drive they put out for it.
Yeah, the Mega CD or the Sega CD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had to have both
anything,
for
this
certain games. Man.
Yep.
This
Yeah.
is making me realize I'm losing that Jeopardy game tomorrow. Gage is definitely gonna win it.
Yeah. I win everything, so.
Well, whilst he's reveling in his own winningness, Carlos, is there anything else on your prominent games list, retro games list?
Resident Evil 4. I guess I keep on rattling on about that game. I've got it on what, Wii and PS2 and PC and PS3, and I see it's on special on PS4, so I'm probably gonna buy
I
it
think it's on
again.
sale on Switch as well, Carl.
Unfortunately, I don't have a Switch. It's an amazing system. I just can't afford it, unfortunately. But I've still got my Nintendo. I've still got my 3DS, which is an amazing system, and I've still got the Game Boy Advance. I've got a whole bunch of Game Boy games in the, because that system's just something. I would literally pull out Tetris and play it now. I mean, the original, that game is phenomenal. And Super Mario Land on the Game Boy too. Oh my gosh. There's so many awesome games on that system.
The
But
handheld have such great libraries, honestly.
oh, it's amazing. And as said, like I don't understand this sort of, the bias towards certain systems and everything. I mean, you can have your favorites and things, but it's don't
I
run down
think for
other
the
systems.
most part, it's just people doing it as a joke, but there are people who maybe take it a step too far slash take it too seriously. It's like what Josh said not too long ago. It's like some people have it as their identities, and when someone makes fun of your identity, you take that personally, which you
Yeah.
really shouldn't. But hey,
That does make sense. It's a shame that happens, but that kind of does make sense. But as says, there's awesome games on every system anyway. So it's just, if you just say, "Oh, I'm just going to play PlayStation or whatever," you're just limiting yourself to those games.
Well, to be
But
fair, if you pick
yeah.
PlayStation, you're limiting yourself to better games, but.
I need to clip that out. I need to clip that out. That's brilliant. Oh,
I'm just
But
stoking the flames right now.
But yeah, just talk, so back in the day, yeah, we grew up with Sega and everything, but Nintendo was around. And some of our friends had Nintendo, so, I'd go over and play Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, and because this would have been, what, early 90s-ish, because we used to hang on to the consoles for a while. And sometimes it would take a while for the games to arrive, but I mean, it
Yeah.
didn't matter. The games were regardless of system, and that's still true now. There's awesome games on every system. I must admit though, I did skip the Wii U, but I mean,
Well,
even
I mean,
saying,
most people do.
you
but
wouldn't be surprised to hear I'm the only one with a Wii U, I think, in the group. Like,
I wanted to get one.
yeah.
They were just kind of scarce.
Yeah,
They're also
I got
bad.
a special deal with this Wind Waker Zelda Edition one, which was pretty cool. But
That's
I mostly bought it for Yoshi's Woolly World of all games. Would you believe? I mean, Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Dude, the Wii
What I
U
will
is
say about retro
trash.
games is it just me or were they a lot harder than games these days?
Well,
Because
that's what people say. But you have to remember too, they were a lot shorter.
Yeah.
I'm just speaking from the 8-bit and 16-bit era. They were a lot shorter than. I mean, you could run through a game in 20 minutes. Um, but that's why you had limited lives, and in some platforms, just using platform games as an example, it was absolute
Yeah.
precision, because the thing is, the game was just they just weren't that long, generally speaking. I mean, not all of them. But I think Alex Kidd in Miracle World, you could probably do it in 40 minutes, 45 minutes. if you sort of did everything correctly type thing. So I mean, they weren't these sort of 60-hour epics or anything like that like we have now.
Yeah.
Well, I do hope you stream it then. In that case, if it's only like 45 minutes,
Well,
nice in and
yeah,
out stream.
for me, it would be like a sort of a 20-part series.
Fair enough. Oh dear.
I don't know if I would say games are harder back then. So some of them, sure, but anybody who genuinely believes that has never played the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, which is drastically more difficult than the original games. They've never played Bloodborne, which made me want to rip my hair out. They've never played Call of Duty World War II on veteran difficulty.
What I will say, Gage, is with those examples, one of them's meant to be hard, one of them you've bumped up the difficulty. I mean, like, just standard picking up a Game Boy game, I found for the most part, like most games, I would be playing the first 2 or 3 sections and then restarting the whole game again. Maybe I just sucked at games as a kid, I don't know. But I just felt games back then, I would never progress far enough to, see the end of it or whatnot. And maybe it's the games I'm playing, but
Maybe that's it. I'm reaching here
Yeah.
because I don't want to admit that I'm probably wrong. Difficulty settings, I think that's the difference. Old
Okay,
games
yeah.
were just standard at difficulty, whereas newer games are like, hey, you can make it harder or easier. Like Halo, for instance, heroic difficulty is the standard difficulty of those games, and they can get super difficult, and that's the difficulty you're supposed to play at. You can go to legendary, or you can drop the normal or easy, but playing Halo on heroic can be tough at times.
Yeah, that's probably it. I don't remember difficulty settings.
Yeah,
on
it
most
might
games
be
back in
that.
the day, so that's probably
Because yeah, you would
just
just start a game back then and it would just play, whereas as generations
now you
happen,
get a day
stuff
one
they start
patch.
to get. Yeah, now or like Battlefront 2, where you get a 3 months out, I think, so a day 90 patch that actually adds in the last half of the campaign. Jeez.
Dear. Gage, what's a game that makes you happy instead of sad? If that's old.
Nothing makes me happy anymore.
Aww.
Man.
Can't say those things when Carl's here. God's
Well,
sake.
I mean, if we're talking about like there's a lot of retro games that I absolutely love, but there's two in particular that are the go-tos that no matter what mood I'm in, what time of day it is, whatever, if I play those games, it's like instant happiness. It's Super Mario All-Stars on Super Nintendo because, dude, remasters of the first 3 games, plus World if you have the right cartridge, or on the PS1, Toy Story 2, which is one of the best games ever. I love that game. Being able to run around Andy's house as Buzz Lightyear and just blast things with your laser, so much fun. With the music and the voice acting and everything, it's just, if you're a fan of Toy Story, that game instantly kind of transports you back to, watching those movies back in the 90s or whatever, and it's amazing. Those are the two that are very, very, very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, we've spoken about Toy Story 2 before,
Yeah, we
but
brought
I
that up on
totally
episode
agree.
1, I
It's
think.
such a fantastic game and so many good memories attached to it. And I
So
completely
good.
forgot. Completely forgot it came out
It's such a good game.
on that system. Did any of you guys play Ape Escape at all?
Oh my god, Ape Escape is so good! Oh, man.
There was rumblings of like an anniversary celebration of the franchise, and there was all these little hints popping up, and everything's gone dead silent all over again. But that was one of those games that actually require you to have
You had to have the DualShock.
the
Yeah.
DualShock to play it. But I used to love having all these different tools and stuff like that, and having to catch these monkeys and the monkeys with the like lights on their heads and stuff like that. They actually were quite terrifying monkeys, to be fair.
So fun. Have you played Ape Escape 2?
Probably, but like everything from back then is quite hazy at this point.
So Ape Escape
I've
2
never
is
gone back.
available as a PS4 download. So you can buy Ape Escape 2.
Is it?
It's so good, dude.
I have to check that out.
Ape Escape 2 is phenomenal. I haven't finished it yet. I might be halfway through. I'm not entirely sure how far I am. I'm pretty far in the game though, but it's really good. I I don't know if I like it more than the first one or not. The first one was... You still had open-ended levels, but the first one being on the PS1, those levels were a bit smaller, so it did make it a bit easier to kind of navigate, whereas Ape Escape 2 has some larger areas, which at times is cool, other times it's kind of a detriment, because it's like, okay, well, now I gotta spend 5 minutes just looking for this ape that I missed. But it's great, you should pick it up. I think it's like $10, something like that. So
Just hearing you talk about the game is fantastic.
it's a great game. You know what else is a great game? Dragon's Dogma. How far are you, Kumail?
So Carl,
Yes.
educate me on another fantastic retro game that I've never heard of.
I hate you, Kumail.
Sonic the Hedgehog. The original.
Which one?
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, right. So I was speaking to Carl, and obviously we're trying to get Carl on for a second part of this retrocast, where I'm going to talk about more PC games. But yeah, Sonic was a moment. It
Yeah, it
still is, I
sure
guess.
was. Oh, it is. I mean, I've got it on the Mega Drive and the Master System. Like literally, I'll pop that game in whenever, and it's just such a joyful game. It really, really is.
So when it came out, what was your first impression of the game? Do you remember?
I remember just having an absolute ball because I was like really, really young when it
Was
came
there
out.
any other game in the market quite like Sonic when you?
No,
Sonic?
no,
Blast
it was
processing, dude.
so from what I remember again, because I was like only little when it came out, it was just a phenomenon. Here we go. That's the Green Hill theme.
Dude,
Um,
every time I play Sonic the Hedgehog, so I grew up playing it myself, that's the only level I play now. Like, I'll boot it up, I'll restart the game just to play through Green Hill Zone and hear the music, and then I stop playing.
well,
It's
when I was
so good.
doing a DJ set once, I think I played Cinema by Skrillex. Well, the Skrillex remix is Cinema by Gary Go, but I at the drop the bass part, I slammed it straight into Green Hill Zone.
Oh, I wish I was there because the only time you've
That's awesome.
done that sort of thing was Thomas the Tank Engine.
Thomas the Tank Engine. And I've done it also for the ground theme for the original Mario Brothers as well.
Nice.
Oh.
It's just sometimes you just have to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did it for Green Hill Zone.
It's so good. I love that song.
When Sonic Mania came out, did you have a go on that? And how happy were you if you did get it?
I loved it.
Yeah. I played it myself and I was just enthralled with it. I mean, for a long time we've had all these different Sonic games and nothing's really felt the same. I did like I'll save it for the next podcast. I did like a Sonic game on PC, but just that 2D going fast, going through all these like beautifully crafted levels. There was nothing like it until Sonic Mania came out.
Can we count Sonic Mania as a retro game?
No. But it was inspired by one.
It's definitely retro stylings.
Yeah.
Because it's this that's a tough one.
I just wanted to dismiss it just to make Gage feel bad.
Just like
'Cause
you
he usually
dismissed my
buys
Dragon's
those
Dogma
things.
comment.
Oh, I didn't miss it.
Well, yeah, Gage,
Carl.
I'm sorry, I can't talk to Dragon's Dogma because I've only I know of it, but I've
Okay.
never played it myself.
Screw
I've
Ghost
got
of
4
Tsushima.
months,
Play Dragon's Dogma.
Oh no! The
Is
crowd
this
nominated
before or
Ghost of
after Resident
Tsushima.
Evil 2 though?
Before everything. Before you play another game, play Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen at least 8 times.
Okay, I'm just gonna go into my PlayStation account now and see if, because heaven forbid I probably already bought it.
It's so good. I've played through that game across the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. I want to say 16 or 17 times now.
How long's that game?
Once you know what
Like-
to do and you have the right skills and you're strong enough, you can blow through the entire game in like 2.5 hours.
What?
Okay, I was just worried it was like 25 hours each
I mean,
time or
your
something.
first playthrough, if you play through the main story only, it might take you 10 hours, maybe 15, depending on how much time you take. But there's also a bunch of side quests and stuff to do. But there's a speedrun mode So once you get the right skill to be able to sprint fast, and you're able to do a ton of damage, I literally went through from beginning to end in, I think it was an hour 45. It was amazing.
Okay.
Gage,
Doesn't
I
look
was
like
thinking this is like an 80-hour game.
It can be. It absolutely can be, because there's
Oh,
side
man.
quests and locations in that game that I'm still discovering today. Like, I've
Oh,
got
damn.
every trophy except for one, and it's to do all the quests. And I don't know which quests I'm missing, because I look at walkthroughs and it's like, I've done that one, I've done that one. I go through and it's like, I've done all these. I'm not sure which
I,
one I'm missing, but it's like, it's so good. It's such a
Now,
phenomenal game.
I will say, Carl, hold
Yes.
fire on buying it because
Yep.
it's been on sale like 3 times in the past few months,
It does
and
go
it
on
goes
sale.
down to like $17 New Zealand dollars or whatever. So I'd probably give it a while. Play Ghost of Tsushima, play Resident Evil, wait for it to go back on sale, and jump in.
In all seriousness, yeah, do that. Get Ghost of Tsushima, play through that, do Resi 2,
I
and
would-
then if you can get Dragon's Dogma for a good price. I mean, it's
So
it's
Drag-
definitely worth the money, but obviously
Mm.
save money when you can, because money's
Yeah,
nice.
so
Yeah, 'cause
that's
if it's
the
going on sale like quite often, then you might as well just wait a couple of months and get it.
oh, so that's the Dark Horizon one.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, I'll pop it on the wish list now.
Yeah, I totally
Um,
forgot about that. It's a full expansion included with the game. Now, if you want to play through the expansion, that might add your first playthrough another 6 to 8 hours. But once you get used to it, the thing is, the expansion has to be finished twice. So you fight the final boss, you go to the beginning of the labyrinth again, and you have to go all the way back through and kill the boss a second time. But this time, he's a bit different, and he's more difficult. He has new powers that can kill everybody instantly if you're not good enough. And then once you kill him a second time, then you're finally done with the expansion. So theoretically, there's a lot of content there. But once you're good at it, you can blow through the expansion in 2 hours as well. Or you're also stalked by death. The Grim Reaper will actually appear and hunt you down. And when you're low level, you're kind of screwed. But once you get the right gear, so what you want is you want to be an archer with a tenfold flurry for your arrows. Get blast arrows, and you can farm that sucker and level up so fast. Yeah.
I'm definitely
Dragon's Dogma
gonna
Tips 101.
consult you before playing the game.
It's and if you get it on
Anyone hear that?
PlayStation,
Turn
if you get
alarm, turn
Kumail,
alarm.
do you have it on PlayStation?
Sorry, I've got it on PlayStation indeed.
Have you recruited my pawn yet?
No, I haven't played it.
Okay,
sorry.
so-
I'm sorry.
So for both of you guys, once you play it, once you get to a Rift Crystal, which the game will walk you through what that is and what they look like and how to use them. Once you're in there, it basically puts you in this little void area where all these pawns walk in from other players. You can search by friends, and you can recruit friends' pawns regardless of their level for free. Normally, if you recruit a pawn that's a higher level than you have to pay Rift Crystals, which you get from like killing enemies and stuff like that. But my pawn is max level, so you can get him for free and have a max level character with you that'll help you out. So he's
Will that dampen the experience though?
not at all. So even though he's max level, the game does a pretty good job at balancing where some lower level enemies might be a bit easier, but when it comes to bosses, having one high level character on your team is not going to do anything. Like, I'm max level, and there's still some enemies that are kind of tough. But the really good thing about him, aside from damage and stuff, is since I've done most of the quests and killed most of the enemies with him, he has knowledge of those. So that way, when you're playing through those quests and you don't know what to do, you can just ask him and he'll tell you, hey, I think we should talk to this person. Or if you're fighting an enemy, he'll say, hey, use fire. And you'll be like, oh, that's how I kill this guy. So your pawns will actually gain knowledge as you play the game. Dude, that game is so deep. It's so good. We don't have a sequel yet.
I don't think there's been one podcast where we haven't mentioned Dragon's Dogma at some point,
I can't help it. It's an addiction.
including the lost episode that will never come out, which is a retro episode by all means now. But yeah, I mean, I've got a couple more games, I guess, because there's a lot of games we can talk about, but there's, I guess, a couple of games well, 3. Oh god, there's too many games. There's too many games, Gage. One, I'll just quickly say Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, which is like one of my favorite sort of Yu-Gi-Oh! Games. It was a card game. It was loosely based on the anime.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
but
is a card
pretty-
game? I had no idea.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, it was loosely based on the anime, but it was really cool. It was really dark and the difficulty in that game like bumped up halfway
Which
ridiculously.
what platform was that one on?
That was on PlayStation 1. Everything I've talked about is PlayStation 1.
Okay, yeah. I've only played the only Yu-Gi-Oh game I've played aside from like the real game, dude. I used to have a deck like this big. I don't know what I did with them, dude. I had like, oh my god, I had so many amazing cards. I had like one of the like holographic foil versions of Relinquish. Like, dude, I had so many great things. I had all three Blue Eyes White Dragons. I had, I think, 3 parts of Exodia. I think I
So
had
I could just
3.
listen to you talk about Yu-Gi-Oh all day, dude.
But I think I traded him to somebody for like a video game or something like that. But the only
Yeah, we all
video
got
game I played
about
of
that.
Yu-Gi-Oh was on the Game Boy Color,
Yeah.
and it was dope.
I mean, the Game Boy and the handheld games, I think, is where Yu-Gi-Oh really shines. But we've never really had something like Forbidden Memories on PS1. It was kind of it had a pretty good story by all means, but the game was not balanced at all, dude. You could get absolutely screwed over if you didn't. If you save your game and go into a battle, it could be completely different the next time you battle that person. So that's a little shout out to that. Bomberman is one that I want to give a huge shout out to. That was
Nice.
great. Yeah, great party game. What's your memories of Bomberman?
I don't have that many. I played. Oh man, last time I played a Bomberman game, it must have been 10 years ago, if not more. So
Yeah.
I remember playing it and liking it, but that's it. I don't really have that many.
It's one of those
robust
games where
memories.
it's exactly that. You just jump in, you play the game, you jump back out. There is a story mode, but I don't think anyone actually plays it for the story. You just grab a second controller, have your friends sit down, and you just have mindless
Yeah.
fun for hours. And it was a game that was like top down, unlike the sort of one that came out recently, which was kind of like at a weird angle, which I didn't quite like.
Yeah.
But yeah, the last game I want to talk about is this fighting game that I always go on about because it's never been released as part of the collection, but it's called Street Fighter EX Plus Alpha, and it featured all these other characters from like Fighting Lair these days. But I know there was like another guy, I can't remember his name. I think it was Akira or something, but he had a few characters and he was in charge of making Street Fighter into 3D, and that's what this game was, and it was really good. So yeah, those are my retro games for today.
Just
Pretty good list.
did Bomberman come out on the 64? I'm just trying to remember because
I
a
think
friend
so.
of mine had all the Nintendo systems, and we always went around to his place and played all the games. Because I just remember playing a Bomberman game. I think it was on the 64, and it was
Bomberman
just
Hero, Bomberman 64, and it even had a sequel called.
because it was 4 player because the 64 had the 4 controller ports, so you had the 4 people playing at once. It was so much fun.
With the multi-tap, the PlayStation had 4 controller ports.
Oh god, here we are.
True. Yeah, I got that for the PS1 and the PS2. Not that.
I've got a genuine question. How much are they paying Gage? Like
I'm
Dragon's Dogma and
Not allowed to
PlayStation.
disclose that.
Like Shuhei's just sending him a check constantly.
Shuhei gives me the check. Neil threatens me with a gun.
Is that why you keep on looking down at your Vita because that's where the payment information comes in?
Yeah, it's super secure because nobody else is using Vita, so they can just get on there and basically say, we're watching live. If you say this, we'll kill you.
Oh, I still play my Vita. I think I platinumed a couple of those smaller games on it recently, but I was playing this one called Dragon Punks on it recently. That game's a lot of fun.
I don't think I have that
Sorry,
one.
Yeah, most people
again?
haven't really heard of it. Dungeon Punks.
Oh no, I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, kind of like an RPG. This sort of side to side brawler. It's a lot of fun. You have like 6 people in your party, but they're all you sort of have. I think it's like three at a time, and then you got tag in partners. But it's all bots slash AI. It's I don't even know if you can play with people, but I just play single
The
player
art style
anyway.
looks really cool on this game.
It's a lot of fun, a lot of fun. And I got it fairly cheap as well, if I remember correctly. But yeah, that one's. But as I said, Vita is just so much fun.
God bless
And
the
I'll,
Vita. I can't wait for the Vita episode where we can just praise the Vita in all its glory. And
But,
Gage will just be holding up the screen constantly.
I just love how you can play PS1 games on it and the PSP games.
Oh,
'Cause
man. I downloaded Tekken 2 straight away as soon as I
I
found
bet
out.
you did. That's a great choice, Kumail.
Thanks.
Because I was playing, because there was these two Capcom collections on it as well. I think Reloaded and Remixed. So you've got like a whole bunch of the older arcade games. You've got the Street Fighter games and all that stuff. Oh, it's just so good, so good. Because the PS1 games play real well on the Vita as well.
Everything plays well on the Vita if you've got remote play. So,
I think I played remote play on it once.
do you know
Because
what? Sorry, go ahead.
oh sorry, I just said my interwebs at the time wasn't good enough for it, and I think I tried to play Killzone Shadowfall on it. I was like, well, that wasn't wise. But it wasn't to do with the Vita or the PS4
That's
or
all
anything.
focus.
It was just the low internet I had at the time, and I haven't sort of revisited it.
It's my only
Audio
touchstone
listeners, what
for
are
Tekken 2.
what are you holding up?
This is the Interactive CD Sampler Pack, Volume 3. Came bundled with my original PlayStation. Includes demos for Tekken 2, Crash Bandicoot, NCAA Football, Game Breaker, a video of Twisted Metal 2, a demo of Ridge Racer, a demo of Blast Chamber, a video of Tobo Number 1, a video of Jet Moto, a couple other demos. I played this Tekken 2 demo I don't know how many times, and then I had a friend that had a copy of it, and I was like, oh my god, Tekken 2, and I borrowed it, and it didn't work. So I've never played Tekken 2 beyond this demo.
I miss that about retro games. The fact that, well, even retro consoles, I should say, the fact that you got like demo discs in like magazines and stuff.
I
you just
still
put them in
have-
and they'll be full games and stuff like that.
I don't know where they went. They used to be here or there. I don't know exactly where I put them after I rearranged everything, but I still have the blue demo disc that came with a Pizza Hut large pizza. It's got Metal Gear Solid, Tomb Raider 3, Gran Turismo, Medieval, and Crash Bandicoot Warped. And it's the coolest thing because it's got this dope intro video where it's like this living room with the TV on, and it's showing like the snow on the old CRT TV. It pans down to this pizza box that starts spinning on its own faster and faster until it breaks into like all these triangles that look really, really bad. And then it starts playing footage from the demos. Oh my god, it's so nostalgic every time I watch that. It's so good. I miss demo discs, dude. They're so cool.
Oh, well, I was
Yeah.
digging around the other day and I found one that had the P for the original Resident Evil on it. I think still got it here because that's going back a year or two. That one I can tell you that much. Yeah, so it had Resident Evil on it. It was from December '97, apparently, according to this. It had Zork, Grand Inquisitor, Steel Panthers, 7th Legion, Worms 2, You Don't Know Jack, Volume 3, Take No Prisoners, that was a fun game. And a bunch of other games I don't really know. So
I was really happy when some like modern games give you like the option to have a demo and actually bring that sort of save data as well over to the main game. Could you imagine
Yeah.
if that was available back in the day, dude?
Back in the day, before I knew how games worked, I always thought the game was on the disc, but it was just kind of like blocked. And so I was like, I wonder if there's a way to unlock the full game of Metal Gear Solid on this demo disc, not knowing that it's literally just a portion of the game.
Yeah.
I was a stupid kid.
well, I mean,
It explains a lot. No, as in why he went into development and stuff like that. No, don't take it out of context. God, what have I done? What have I done? So yeah, that's why I think Gage is actually better off not being on the podcast. Oh, he's back. This is what I love about the Sass cast. It just goes into absolute mayhem for no apparent reason. It's just looking at his game. Oh, Carl, have you got anything else on your list that you like to
So
tell
many,
people about?
so many games. Um,
Hey,
but that,
I'm here for it.
but one thing I will say is, even though, like, I had the Sega systems when I was a kid, as I was saying, so my friend had the Nintendo systems. So we went over to his place and played all the games and everything, and it was just really nice playing games that I didn't have on my system, but they were
Mm.
just so much fun. I mean, yeah, the Super Nintendo, and it had a really good version of Street Fighter 2 on it, for example. Then I remember, there was this awesome game on the Nintendo 64 he had called Blast Core, um, which fortunately came out on the Rare Replay, which came out on the Xbox One. And I don't know what it is about that game. It's just so much fun. I don't know if you've heard of it or played it at all.
Yeah, I've heard of Blast Core, but I know nothing about it, dude.
So basically, you sort of go around in all these different vehicles and things to try and stop a nuclear weapon from detonating. So I mean, you can be in a mech, you can be in a bulldozer, you can be in a car, and all these sorts of different vehicles. And it's just so much fun, and like the soundtrack is just joyful as well. It's kind of like this hybrid sort of electronica, and there's sort of some country elements as well. There's like a synthesized banjo, and there's all sorts of, and it's just fun. And like I remember going around to my friend's place and playing it, and it was just great because it's just a relatively simplistic concept, but it was just executed so well because it was done by Rare. And yeah, and I was so glad I was able to get it on the Xbox One as well on the Rare Replay.
Mm.
And yeah, that game just sticks out as being sort of as a particularly fun one from back in the day, and it's just great that we can play it now easily because, my goodness, to actually buy an N64 now and try and find Blast Core, it would be $400, I think.
Yikes.
Especially
See,
trying to get
this is
a controller in good working order too.
another reason why we need you to stream to show us, to showcase to us all these fantastic, games that I've never heard of.
Again, I just worried. It's like, do you want to see someone play basketball? Wow, or do you want to see someone play basketball?
I
Uh,
want to see
it'll be
the
it'll be
DJ
column
drop
it'll
the
be
bass
column
on
B.
Blast Core. That's what I want to see.
Well, well, that's the thing. I mean, oh, sorry, I'm just laughing because I'm just thinking about me actually streaming that game and not being able to
Hey
get
guys,
past.
it's me, DJ Pandaroo. I'm from twitch.tv/DJ Pandaroo.
Sorry,
I
what
missed.
now?
No, it's just the thing we make fun of Ben
He's
for.
mocking you.
I'm mocking Ben in the style of Carl. I wasn't mocking Carl directly. Have I dug my own grave here?
You did that the moment you got on this podcast, buddy.
Fair enough. So, Carl's got a few more games. How about you? You got anything that's running off the top of your head?
I do.
Hit me.
Number one, another Atari game called Yar's Revenge. So, Yar's Revenge is a fairly simple game where you're like a...
Pirate?
No.
Okay, then.
You're like an alien. You look kind of like a fly, but you're on one side of the screen, and the other side has like a boss that's covered with a shield, and basically you're just like avoiding the boss that's shooting at you while you're trying to slowly eat away the shield and then eventually kill the boss. Very simple game, but for an Atari 2600 game, it's awesome. It essentially cycles all the colors, I think, on just the shield, so it's very trippy to watch. But it was one of those games back then where it's just super basic but a lot of fun because you're just dodging. You got the joystick and you're dodging bullets while also shooting your own. It's a lot of fun. The main game I want to give a shout out to, Sega Genesis game called Road Rash. Have either of you guys played Road Rash?
Yeah.
Not played it.
Oh yes, love it. Absolutely love it. I unfortunately don't have it on the Genesis Mega Drive, but I have it on the Master System. Fantastic game. Absolutely, fully agree with you.
Road Rash is so
And that
much fun.
soundtrack. Oh,
Yeah. So, Kumail, do you know anything about Road Rash?
I've heard of it, but that's to the extent of Road Rash.
Yeah.
I know.
So Road Rash basically it's like a motorcycle racing game. I've only ever played the first one. I don't think I've played any of the others. Again, similar story to Tekken. I borrowed Road Rash 3D for PlayStation from a friend, and it didn't work because the disc was just destroyed.
You're
But-
not throwing large under the bus, are you, with that?
Oh no, he just doesn't let me borrow games. No, it was two different friends for both
Okay,
of those games. You're on a motorcycle. You're just like a motorcycle racer, basically. For the Sega Genesis, it's cool because you actually like upgrade your license level and you can buy new bikes and stuff like that with money. Well, you buy bikes with money. What else would you buy it with? Jesus. So you can earn money to buy bikes. They get faster and stuff like that. And it's essentially the whole game is kind of on a straight path. There's some corners and stuff, but you're on the straight path with all these hills and stuff. And you're going super fast. So you're constantly dodging puddles and oil spills and roadblocks and cars and stuff like that. But the thing is, you can also get up beside another racer and punch him or kick him. Not only that, but you can get weapons. Like you can get a chain, drive up next to another racer, and just whack them off their bike. It is one of the most violent racing games I've ever played, and it's so much fun.
Is this like Burnout Revenge and stuff like that? Burnout Takedown and stuff like that? Or is it a bit
Kind of. Like, those games probably got a lot of inspiration from Road Rage, honestly. But, yeah.
Because I know, like, it's tricky. You could punch people and knock them off their snowboards and stuff like that.
Yeah, you could also do that in the... You know what? I've got a third one. I'm going to go with... I don't know which one. I'm going to go with 3 Extreme on the PlayStation. So, 2 Extreme and 3 Extreme are action sports games where you can either be on a skateboard, a bicycle, snowboard, whatever, and you're going through, you're doing a race. But just like Road Rash, it's very violent. So, the demo I had of 2 Extreme, and then eventually I got the actual game and 3 Extreme. You're on a skateboard and you're going through the city, and there's like pedestrians getting in your way and cars and all these things you have to go around. But there's jumps and stuff, so you're doing kickflips and stuff off of these jumps. At the same time, you're literally beating the crap out of people when they get next to you. You're just like, you're skateboarding and then you just sock them and try to knock them down to win. It is so much fun. If you haven't played those games, they are available on PlayStation Network for PS3, PS Vita, and PSP.
And
Get 'em.
Games Pass.
not.
Available on Game Pass. God, Game Pass is so lame.
So, Carl, this is what I
Yes.
have every podcast. Just gauge his opinions. Just opinions. he would qualify them as facts, but they're
Game
very
Pass,
much
more like Game Ass.
Oh, man.
Let's distract the crowd from his bad takes. Carl, what's another wonderful retro game that you've got?
I like Game Pass. It's cool.
So, there's a couple of ones in particular because I used to love going to the arcades and everything. And
What's that?
always remember. Well, back in my day, we had places. So I mean, Daytona USA. I just absolutely adore that game. I mean, I can't play driving games to save myself, but I don't know what it is. I mean, it's just, I don't know if it's like the fact that it's the music in the game or if it's just, it's it's so much not like a racing simulation. It's just, you know, with the arcade physics and everything, and just racing around those linear tracks and everything. But that I just love playing it. I got it on the PS3 as well. So much fun. So much fun.
It's a good one. It's a really good one.
And
Have they released games like that since? Because I recognize the Daytona sort of.
they released Daytona 2. And they've done a couple of remasters and things. I don't know if they were, inverted commas, well, not legit, but I don't know if they're fully licensed by. I think it was Sega AM2 that did them, but I can't remember if they were official ones in the series. But I know it came out on the Saturn and the Dreamcast. I think Daytona 2 came out on the Dreamcast.
Wow, I forgot the Dreamcast existed. Holy crap.
I never had one, unfortunately. Again, because they were just crazy expensive. But
Yeah.
that was a real system, though. There was some awesome games there. But Crazy Taxi was another one too. Again, another driving game. But I've got that game on what, PS2, Game Boy Advance, PC. That one's so much fun as well.
Yeah, Crazy Taxi's a phenomenal game. It's really good.
And the soundtrack too with The Offspring. I mean, there's just
Yeah.
something about it when that song kicks in and you're just like racing around. Oh, it's just so much fun.
That kind of reminds me of another game similar to those that is one of my favorite retro. I mean, it kind of falls on the cusp of what you consider retro. Personally, I think like PS1, N64 era is the latest, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that also consider PS2 and Xbox to be retro. So that's why I'm going to give a shout out to Simpsons Hit and Run.
Ooh.
Fully agree.
So good. It's a mixture of Crazy Taxi and Grand Theft Auto, but in The Simpsons. And it's so much fun. Way better than that trash Road Rage.
I'm just trying to remember. I got it because I didn't have it originally when I had PS2, but I was able to pick it up not that long ago. In really good condition. My goodness, that game's fun.
It's a
And
fantastic
they've got like
game.
the voice acting in it and all the different vehicles. You get to collect things. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I'm so glad they kept making good Simpsons games. They
I'm
didn't,
just
that's the joke.
I don't want to say anything.
I am wondering why they never bothered remastering it.
I don't know. I don't think they care about gaming anymore.
Probably licensing.
Maybe. They're too
They
busy.
just don't care about money.
They're too busy spending $10 million per episode to spend $10 million on a game.
I don't know whether or not it was a blessing that you were out there or... No, seriously, you got cut out there. What'd you say? $10 million on what?
I'm just talking shit about Simpsons.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Watch South Park. It's a great show.
South Park is overrated. I'm saying it's bad.
Carl, just
Saying South
give
Park
me
is
help.
overrated.
give me help, Carl.
And it's
Distract
bad.
him with another game. Blow his mind.
Oh, okay.
The fucking
so I
dude, the
get-
clip you sent of that funeral scene with the mother crying. I always think about that every time Kevin Coyle laughs because it's so similar.
It is. It is.
Kumail,
This
you
is
should-
the white episode.
Kumail, you should cut that together. You should cut those two together.
I'll get Ben to do it when he's back.
Yes, have Ben do that. That would be amazing because it's so perfect. Oh my god. What are you saying, Carl, before I rudely cut you off?
No, you're right.
Talking of things
so-
that are perfect.
Oh, bless. So again, just want to have the whole Sega childhood personally myself, but again with my friends having the Nintendo systems, I just remember the playing all the local co-op games like the Mario parties and the Smash Brothers, and where there's like 6, 7, 8 of us like at my friend's house, and we're like rotate, and it was just so much fun just like sitting there and laughing and playing those games. Because I have Smash Brothers the Wii, and it's just so much fun. But you know, playing the older games as well back then, they were great. Even playing, I can't remember it was a wrestling game. On the 64, I think it might have been WCW, something like that. But you could create custom wrestlers in it, and we all made our own custom wrestlers and things, and it was just so funny. Just we were just making the most absurd characters, and like half the time we were just laughing. You know, we were just trying to play the game, but we just couldn't, just seeing all these absurd characters on the screen and doing all these moves, because I think you could select the move sets of the various wrestlers, like just for example, like Bret the Hitman Hart. But I picked a character who was, let's just say, not the same build as Bret the Hitman Hart. So when my character was doing the sharpshooter move, it just looked absolutely absurd, and we were just like all in tears laughing. It was just so joyful. It was just it was just so much fun.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
There was like a WWE game, not F game. It would have been F. PlayStation 1. I can't remember which it was, but I just remember going to my friend's house and playing it. I'm not even that into wrestling, but dude, those games were so fun. Just so fun.
They were fun.
It's too bad they're buggy as hell these days.
Yeah, I mean that's. Was it 2K that makes them?
Yeah, I think they're taking a break this year and releasing like a chibi version of it.
Don't even get me started on 2K. Here's my problem with 2K. No, I'm kidding.
So, did
So
you guys have like movie games like on retro consoles and stuff like that? Because I remember the PlayStation 1 had so many like games from movies I loved, like A Bug's Life.
I
Yeah.
mean, E.T.
Tarzan, Star
Yep.
Wars, Phantom Menace.
yeah, Back to the Future 2 and 3,
They had games?
Terminator. Yeah.
What were you doing in the games?
So Back to the Future 2, you were like first level, like you're on the hoverboard just going through the town. There was like some puzzle elements, finding bits and pieces. Like Back to the Future 3, you were on horseback, because it was on 1885, and you were just there's a section in the movie where you sort of throw plates, and there was a section in the movie of the game when you do that. Terminator, when you play Kyle Reese. There was Moonwalker, which was a movie back in the day. Not many people tend to
It's the
remember
Michael
it.
Jackson movie, right?
Yep, that's the one. I'm just trying to think of what else. Aladdin. Aladdin was a big
Aladdin
one. That
was
actually
great.
came. Lion King. A lot of Disney. There was
Lot
a
of
lot of phenomenal Disney games. Jungle Book was another one. Even though that was what 20, 30 odd years after the movie was out. I mean, they had the game. There was a lot of really, really, really good licensed Disney games as well.
Did you ever
not
play?
necessarily movies.
What was it? I think it was called Terminator versus RoboCop.
Oh yeah.
That
Oh,
game
yeah.
was amazing.
Fantastic game.
Very difficult.
That's another thing too. There was Terminator 2, which actually came out as two games. As I just grabbed them from the shelf. There was one called Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which you played as Arnie's character, and it was like a side-scrolling shoot 'em up. Then you had T2, the arcade game, which was like a first-person shooter. I mean,
Nice.
you had a light gun for that. But yeah, I mean, Kumail, there was a lot of licensed games back then. And honestly, I think
You said
a
the
lot of
light
them I
gun,
played
and
that were great.
I just remember the light gun for PS1, and I can't remember what games I played with the light gun, but I just remember it was such a fun attachment.
Right.
Time Crisis, maybe.
I just remember like
Point
blue
Blank
and
was
red flashing
another
lights.
awesome
That's
one.
it.
Yeah. Kind of miss those types of games, but we also have VR now, so that kind of takes the place of them.
VR is one of those things where every time I have a guest come to the house, I just pick up the VR headset, put it on them, and they are just blown away. It's phenomenal. I just love seeing their reactions to VR.
This VR is awesome.
Yeah, agreed.
Awesome.
Agreed. I just bought Blood and Truth recently. I'm quite happy.
So
very
good.
happy.
Do you have Firewall 0 Hour?
No, I don't.
Dude, you're missing out. You
Am I?
missing out. You are missing out.
All around my living room, my parents would be taking videos and stuff.
I almost started talking about Dragon's Dogma. Firewall 0 Hour is an amazing game. Amazing.
It's not quite retro. Wink, wink.
Because
I don't care.
Gage, do you ever play Virtucop?
That sounds familiar.
No, I don't think I've ever
Yeah.
actually played it.
Yeah, so it was originally I think it was originally an arcade game, sort of in the style of Time Crisis, and it came
Yeah.
out on the PS2. Oh my gosh, even
Oh,
playing
it
that
looks
with
good.
the controller, so much fun.
I might have played it in the
It
arcade.
looks very anime inspired as well.
It is very much so.
Here we
Yeah, I
go.
think did Sega develop it? Yeah, Sega developed it.
Apparently, it's on PC as well. Maybe it's emulators or something.
Maybe.
This might be something I just have to pick up for the sake of picking it up, you know? Because
Do it.
I'm really liking the aesthetic, for real. The 3D poly models. Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a real fun game. Yeah, I picked it up on the PS2 a little while back. Yeah, lots of fun. Lots of fun.
Very cool.
And I probably think we should end it off with like one mega retro game, one call that's so good that everyone has to go back and play it. What would you say I need to go back and play, retro wise? And you can't say Alex Kidd.
No, why would I ever say Alex Kidd? And I've already said Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
So that's out. Think. Well, Ben would ask me to say Aztec Adventure, but that's a pretty obscure one. But this one's not as obscure, but it's obscure on a system. I mean, everyone knows about Ninja Gaiden on the Nintendo, on the NES. Phenomenal game. But it also came out on the Master System too. And it's a different game. It's the same sort of concept, your sort of side-scrolling ninja game, but it's just a lot of fun, and it's got great graphics in it. So I'd highly recommend you check that one out. You can always check it out on YouTube and see some gameplay footage of it, but that one is fun.
Nice.
Cool.
But again, I mean, I could go on about games like the retro games I love for another 6 hours or so. But yeah.
For real, I was only going off my PlayStation 1 list. There's so many games that back in the day were so important to me and that I enjoyed. So we definitely need to come back to this topic and talk about some more retro games.
Definitely.
Absolutely, sign me up for that. I'd be more than happy to. And I do apologize if I've rambled on a bit too. I'm just a little bit passionate.
Oh no, that's the point of the podcast.
If you don't ramble on, I will.
Yeah, exactly. Rather you than him, for sure.
Yep.
But yeah, thank you so much for having me along. I really appreciate it. I've had so much fun.
Thank you for coming on, buddy.
Oh, no. All the better for having you, dude.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching episode 5 of the Sasscast. Hopefully this time next week we'll be able to have another episode where we can kind of continue on this topic, and if we can, hopefully get a couple more people on to talk about some of their favorite retro games. If you have any retro games you want to talk about amongst each other, or you just want to mention to us that we can kind of look into and discuss on the show, go ahead and leave it in the comments below, or just tweet at us at Simply Sassy Vids on Twitter. All right. Stay awesome, everyone.